have continually over quite some years in doing full time is I suppose in the promotion of maybe women's sport, in particular rugby. I guess that's one of the things that we've done over quite a long period of time. And one of the great things, and I'm sure you'll agree with me there, Rino, is the fact that it's kind of been a women's year. Pretty much. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally, mate. You mentioned rugby there. Think about the NRL Women's Rugby League competition, the State of Origin as such, and I know JT can roll with this as well because that's been a big stepping stone for the ladies as well. So, been a successful year with the ladies on the footy field, whether that be union or league. But yeah, you're right, mate. It has been a huge year for our wahine here, and you've got to take your head off to them. And like JT said, what was that girl's name? Cox Edge. So, she just put the icing on the cake, winning that award. But yeah, it has been a stellar year for all the ladies. You look at their football team as well, mate. Even our youth sevens team went to their Olympics just 2 or 3 months ago. The young team won the gold over there. It's just been a wow year. We're a wahine, bro.
Yeah, it has been, hasn't it, Raa? And you'd be with us because we have been talking up the women's sport for some time on the show, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, and look, I'll tell you, the full-time show itself is, throughout the years, has sort of moved ahead in leaps and bounds from just covering, the male-dominated sporting events that, we've sort of tended to focus a lot more on the female codes as well, which is a sign of the times, the diversity there is now in sport, and it's always good to not just promote, the fellas, but also our ladies. I mean, they give as good as they get, and, I'm glad there are a lot of changes have taken place where they are now getting recognised and even compensated for, participating in what was once a lot of male-dominated sports. So, a good sign, and may it long continue.
One of the things, though, I think you'd pretty much agree with me too, Raa, the transgender issue in sport. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, me personally, I still, if I'm being honest, I still find I'm still getting my head around it. I mean, I used to like with the female entry into the male-dominated sports. That took me a little while to sort of I was old school like everybody else. I thought women should just stick to netball, as ancient as that philosophy sounds. But I've come around throughout the years to realise that. Women can give as good as they get, and no doubt for the transgender community, probably the same in that field as well. I mean, sport's one of those activities that's open to everyone. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, all I care about when I'm watching a sporting event is that it's interesting, and then it's a close game or close match, and I wouldn't care if aliens were playing it, as long as it's sort of gets my interest up, and it's a great game. Well, then hey, I'll probably end up watching it.
What about you, JT? What do you reckon about the transgender issue entering into the sporting arena?
Look, Raa touched on. I've got no problem with women playing male-dominated sports, traditional sports like your rugby and your league and all that. I don't mind the crossover. Where I do draw the line is people like Laurel Hubbard.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's trying to become a lady, a woman, and it's competed in a power sport, which is weightlifting. I mean, come on. Mate, I get there's a mental sort of a disability or an issue going on inside their heads. They're not happy with the way they look or whatever. I mean, I'm not happy with the way I look. I'm still going to be a man, but I'm not going to go against women in weightlifting. Get a grip, mate. So I guess there was a bit of karma when Laura, I don't even know what is it.
Laurel.
She broke his arm.
Yeah.
And so,
yes.
Yeah, that's the karma. Coming down on you, Laurel. Laurel.
Yeah, Laurel, I think it is. It's a very, I don't know. Is it a touchy issue there, Rino? What do you reckon?
Yeah, very touchy issue, mate. I don't know if they're touchy, but yeah, it's just one of those things.
Right.
I suppose, look, 2019 is going to be a year where it's opened up. Last few weeks we've seen a transgender boxer go get in the ring and being booed
Yes.
after winning the fight. It's just one of those things I think most are going to have to just accept, like everything else. It's just coming through, and I think the ongoing flow over the next 10 years is going to be unbelievable from that side of it. So, hey, it's just something we're going to have to deal with, I would guess. I'm the same as JT, mate. You know, guy to girl and you go into powerlifting, it should never happen.
Yeah.
It should never happen. I don't mind the other way around.
Yes.
Which is all good. If they're a lady and turn into a man and want to get into a mean sport thing and go 1-on-1 or whatever the hell it is, that's fine. But when it's the other way, and if you're doing power to power, strength type of stuff, I'm not into that. But yeah, I suppose I've got to be open-minded, mate, and that's just the way it is, eh?
Is it confusing though? Because I don't know if I'm confused or what's going to be happening. I mean,
it is confusing, especially when you put them into the sport of fencing, bro. You don't know what they're going to happen there.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I guess one of the for me anyway, there's been a lot of highlights throughout the year. Obviously, the New Zealand rugby women becoming professional, so finally getting paid. The NRL women's team getting, getting on the field, getting on the paddock and that. But I think one of my big highlights of the year was the introduction. How about this? The introduction of JT onto Fooltime. There you go. That's probably one of the biggest highlights for me. What do you reckon there, JT?
Well, it's taking you 10 months to keeping up and sort of running out of patience. I'm going to get some sort of credence here for the first ratings in the show. When I came, there was one listener, now we've got two.
Yes, you increased our listenership by 50%. 100%, I should say.
I doubled it.
Yes, indeed. 100%.
Yeah, thanks, boys. I sent Raa Walker a Facebook message saying, is there any sports shows? I wouldn't mind having a bit of a chat about different things. And here we go. That was back in February, and it's now late December. And it's been a thrill and a buzz, and long may it continue.
I think it's been awesome. One of the other things was some of the some of the guests that you also brought in, like Willie James, I think was the first one. Jeff, my old mate Jeff Moses, and of course Tawhiwhirangi. Was there another one? I can't really remember. I think that was it, pretty much, don't I?
It was my mate, Nee Bevan.
That's right. Yes.
He knew the leader of the first half of the show. Apparently, it was one of the best ones ever.
Yes, that's right. It was. Highlights, great highlights. Any other sort of highlights for you there, Raa?
Oh, look, I tell you, one thing we got to give JT is the fact that, and a lot of shows can't attest to this, is that he's given us international appeal.
Yes.
I mean, how many shows had that international input? Not very many. It's always national or local, but, we seem to cover the big three, the local, national, and international. So, and it's always good. I mean, because that's what I always think the media communication should be about, one, not just sort of talking about, the sport that we love, but also bringing in whānau from abroad who, can sort of just let family here know how they are and what's happening where they stay. So, no, and long may they continue. But, look, I'll tell you, no doubt we're going to have a few more sort of highlights and lowlights in 2019, and I'm hoping that one of those lowlights isn't that we don't win the Rugby World Cup for sure. But something that caught my attention this week was, I think the boys were talking about the Waka Nathan award at the recent prize giving. There was a little story I saw, I think it was in Sevens, where Michael Jones' son, Nico Jones, I think was playing for New Zealand, and they were up against Canada. And there were three Kiwi boys playing for the Canadians, and one of them was the Moko, or the grandchild of the great Waka Nathan, Black Panthers. So that was really interesting, and it was good to see him and old Nico sort of hanging out. So, it's like that old saying, you can take the Kiwis out of Aotearoa, but you can't take Aotearoa out of the Kiwis.
Yeah, actually, I think you're quite right there. Well, let's, seeing as you've kind of brought up lowlights. And I'll just before we do actually, I think also one of the other highlights was the fact of having you, JT, in the Gold Coast when we had the Commonwealth Games. I mean, so we had somebody who was literally in that area when we were talking about the Commonwealth Games. So that, I guess, has got to be another highlight. Hey, what do you reckon, JT?
Yeah, it was, mate, although it sort of segues into one of my lowlights, which is the performance of the Super Twins.
Right.
Into Malawi.
Right.
Probably a fair percentage of New Zealanders hadn't even heard of Malawi.
No.
A high of that population didn't even know they played netball. So that was one of my lowlights, obviously, coupled with the loss in the grand final by the Melbourne Storm. Not the fact that they lost, just the way they performed. They underperformed and saved their worst for last. So, yeah, that's my highlight, lowlight.
Nice. Yeah. What about you, Raa? What was your lowlights of 2018?
I suppose it's sport anyway. Probably the ABs losing not so much to South Africa but to Ireland. For me, that was a bit of a stab in the stomach. But in saying that, it was also a good thing. I mean, of all countries to beat the great unbeatable All Blacks and Mr. All Blacks, Ireland is probably the country that should do it. And from a sporting perspective, that's probably that was probably it. And I'm just hoping that my intuition towards us not doing well at next year's World Cup doesn't come true, because that will be a definite low life, especially the winning highlights we've been on the last couple of World Cups. That will definitely sort of bring a bit of a gloomy cloud over most Kiwis here in New Zealand.
Yeah, fair enough too, I suppose. I remember, I think it was last week, I was, because at times I listened, should I say, I re-listen to our full-time shows, in particular through our podcasts on iTunes. And I can remember when you were saying, this was after England just lost to the All Blacks, and you were saying, I think it was Rino too. You were saying that there's no way that the All Blacks will lose to Ireland. And lo and behold, guess what happens? They go and lose to Ireland, and deservedly so too, though, Raa? They deserve to lose.
Well, yeah, they did, and it's always good for rugby. But see who the ref was? It was that man again. The most hated ref in New Zealand rugby, I think. No, you take your head off to Ireland. I mean, the All Blacks, plain and simple, didn't play well. I mean, even they thought, I assumed that we've beaten England because England was their biggest obstacle in that tour, and they knew that, and so did most of the rugby world. But we took care of England, and then it was like, I think they started to rest on their laurels, just to say, Ireland, no, we should take them out. Well, it wasn't to be, and it's written in history now. So always expect the unexpected, and never take anything for granted. And me personally, I think that's a good thing as we head into the 2019 World Cup. Just to realise that you got to take every game as it comes. It doesn't matter who it is. If you're playing a sort of a third-tier country like Zimbabwe or whatever, or a first-tier country like England, you've got to take every game and give it 150% when you hit the field. What
about you, Rino? Lowlights of 2018?
Yeah, well, just quickly go back to one of the other highlights. A couple more there. The Thames Valley Swamp Foxes, stellar season for them after many years of suffering, and them finally winning and doing it tough by beating the two top teams. So that's a great result there. And I just want to reiterate too and acknowledge what you boys have said in regards to JT. It's been great having JT on the show, especially another passionate rugby league fan. To have him on board, ringing early hours in the morning, being part of our show from the Goldie, covering, of course, as he did over there on his holiday with the whānau as well. But I think for me, just knowing the guy and that he knows my sister kind of blew me away, and tell me how small the world is.
Small world.
Yeah, it just blew me right away. But yeah, just the passion he has in this rugby league corridor, bro, it's just been huge. I've done the show with you guys for years, and we've covered a lot of rugby.
Yes.
And to have him come on board, it's been a bit of a blessing, actually, to have another stalwart of rugby league. And I know he's a hearty Storm fan and supports his team right through. They had a bit of a tickle one in the final.